The Pima County Sheriff's Department has detained a person of interest in connection with the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. The person was detained in a city south of Tucson. We now turn to CBS's Jonathan Bigliotti, who has been covering this case. Jonathan.
And Jessi, good evening to you. Members of the regional... if this could stop talking in my ear for a second, the members of the regional SWAT team, we are told, assisted the Sheriff's Department as they responded to this property. Again, as you mentioned, in a city south of Tucson. That is as much information as we have available to us right now from our sources. From our understanding, they arrived there and took this person into custody rather quickly. What exactly brought them to that location at this hour is still unclear. We do know that the FBI has been reaching out to the public asking for tips, and many of those tips have been coming in, each one being tracked down. And of course, this comes just 8 hours or so after the FBI released a video and photos of a person that they believe may have broken into the home and abducted Nancy Guthrie at the property behind me. We watched that video earlier today. And Jessi, it was frightening to look at. You saw a man, it appeared, approach the door wearing a mask. All you could see in his effort to cover up his identity were his eyes and his mouth, but officials making it very clear, if you look closely, they pleaded to the public, there may be identifying features, including even the walk. It's unclear exactly, again, what led officials to this location. We can tell you, shortly after those videos and those photos were released, you had investigators with the search and rescue team here at the Sheriff's Department, joined by the FBI, in a neighborhood about 10 minutes away from where we are, the location of the home where Nancy Guthrie's daughter, Annie, and her husband lived. We watched as those investigators walked from residence to residence, speaking with those inside, taking down information, what they were looking for. Again, unclear. And if that was part of this search effort that led them to this city in Tucson and this detainment, still unclear. Also unclear if the person that was detained is believed to be the person in that video. That's part of this ongoing investigation. We do hope to learn more, and we are waiting for our sources to get back to us to confirm. But again, this hour, Jessi, a person of interest, as the police are now calling it, has been taken into custody. And most importantly of all, Nancy Guthrie. Still at this hour, there is no sign of life. It is unclear if investigators have tracked down where she may be. Again, as a very active scene here developing here in Tucson, Jessi.
And Jonathan, I want to talk more about this timeline because Nancy Guthrie has been missing since the early morning hours of February 1st. It is now the 10th. And as you mentioned, these investigators from multiple agencies have been going door to door asking people, but unfortunately they have been sharing. There is not a lot of video evidence of the street in that area. So can you talk about how critical these new images that they were able to acquire from the broken Nest camera were as we are waiting for more developments in the news of this case?
Yeah, that video, those photos, incredibly helpful. We have spoken with former FBI agents who say what you look at there, they're essentially fingerprints that you're seeing as you observe this person's behavior, from what this person is wearing, the backpack that this person was carrying, and the gait, the way in which this person carried themselves. They were speaking to the public specifically saying, when you look at this person, look closely. Do you recognize anything about the behavior, anything about those clothes? We also know from speaking with former FBI agents that the FBI has been looking into the brands of that backpack, of the clothes that this person was wearing, trying to identify them so that they could locate potentially where they were purchased and maybe even better identify whom that person was that purchased those items. You know, this search, as you mentioned, stretching into day 10, the desperation has grown over that period of time, although this last day has been truly critical. We stand here right now talking about this detainment that happened really just moments ago. All of that coming from incredible police work. Very clearly now, the Sheriff's Department, the FBI, holding back certain details so as not to compromise this investigation. Just over the weekend, after the sheriff said they were expanding their search, we saw investigators return back to Nancy Guthrie's home. At one point over the weekend, they were on the roof of the house recovering a camera that perhaps was overlooked. They also went to what appeared to be a septic tank. We saw them as they were probing inside. They also recovered what is believed to be Nancy Guthrie's SUV inside the garage. All of that providing critical leads that the FBI has been looking into. Again, though, it appears as the FBI has continued to reach out to the public in this crowdsourced effort to get information, releasing that video, it appears to have been a critical moment in this case, something that has cracked it wide open at this hour, appearing to lead them directly to this person of interest. Again, though, Jessi, at this hour, we do not know that person's identity, and we do not know if investigators believe that person is the person that we have seen in that chilling video back from last Sunday morning. Jessi.
All of those important points. You talk about the crowdsourcing effort. We know the FBI had a $50,000 reward for any information. Until they released these images, though, there were few credible leads. There had been the ransom notes that were sent to the two TV stations and TMZ. So what has the neighborhood been telling you about just this search and how desperate it has been?
Yeah, you know, neighbors here that we have spoken with, there is a sense of fear. This is a very quiet neighborhood. It is high desert here in Tucson and peaceful. And then, of course, this happens and a lot of people can't wrap their mind around it. It's just not neighbors here. It is the nation trying to figure out in now 10 days what exactly unfolded. And of course, watching as this investigation has grown, as the search effort has grown up until today, yielding very little results. We know that officials were looking at traffic cameras in the intersections about a half a mile from here, not yielding much luck. The same was true from going door to door. At one point, canines were brought to Nancy Guthrie's property behind me. Again, it did not appear to yield much information. But that video, as terrifying as it was, clear clues when you look closely. And it appears at this hour someone did look closely and possibly called police and called that hotline. A crowdsourced effort, and that effort continues as the work is still not done. Investigators still need to collect more evidence. Again, we do not know who this person of interest is. You talked about those ransom notes. Those ransom notes were considered critical. And at this hour, the FBI has yet to still validate them, has not described them as a hoax. We know that the first ransom note, or I should say the first of two emails that came in last week, that first one was what they're calling an apparent ransom note. And in it, it included details that only someone inside that home at the time may possibly know. That is what the FBI alluded to last week. And it led eventually to the family, the Guthrie family, coming on social media, posting a video asking for proof of life. Those videos continued to escalate until a second email was sent to the same local news station that received the first one with that ransom note. We don't know the details, what was included in that second email that was sent on Friday, but it prompted the Guthrie family to go back on social media over this past weekend, where they said they were ready to pay. There were two deadlines in that ransom note. Officials believe the two emails are somehow connected because of what sources are telling me, very similar language. The first deadline had passed last week. The second deadline passed yesterday. Even after passing, though, we heard Savannah Guthrie say she believes her mother is alive, bring her home. Hopefully, this latest development with now what is being described as a person of interest brings this family one step closer to resolution. Jessi.
Jonathan, thank you. And important to note, this is only one step closer. Perhaps a person of interest has been detained, but we do not know yet the fate of Nancy Guthrie, and she has yet to be returned home. So we will continue following all of the developments in this case. This has been a CBS News special report. We will come back on the air again with important new details to this developing story as we learn more. For updates, tune in to CBS News Mornings, CBS News 24/7, and your local CBS station. I'm Jessi Mitchell in New York.
Turn now to Capitol Hill, where top immigration officials took questions about the two Americans shot to death by federal agents in Minneapolis last month and at times defended their own morality. Do you think you're going to hell? Demanded one lawmaker as ICE's acting director called this, quote, the deadliest operating environment in agency history. Here's Nicole Skanga.
Still furious about the fatal shootings of Alex Preddy and Renee Good, Democrats focused